Welcome to The Heart of Health Live. There's a place for modern medicine in your life. Learn to use it correctly by getting your toughest questions answered on today's broadcast. Discover modern medicine's strengths and weaknesses. Lifestyle medicine opens the door to optimum health and healing. How you live and what you eat can profoundly affect mind and body. Learn simple solutions to complex problems. God provides the ultimate healing we all desire. He wants us healthy and happy. We just need to understand His plan for our lives and live accordingly. And now, live from Studio 1A in Chattanooga, Tennessee, here's your Heart of Health host, Dr. James Marcum.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you are joining us today. We have a very exciting program, and I want everyone to call in. There's a couple ways you can get a hold of us. Give us a call at 855-644-3278. There you will talk to our call operators who will either write down your question or save it for you can be on us live. Our guest tonight is Dr. Scott Grivas, and Dr. Grivas works at Wildwood. That's a special place where people go to have good health. He's specifically going to talk to us today about natural remedies, things that we can do naturally that might make our bodies feel better and fight off disease. So if you have a question, we want you to give us a call at 855-644-3278. And I'm so glad you can be spending your time doing a lot of things, so I'm so glad you're spending time to make an investment in your health. Well, you think about things that we invest our time in. You know, a lot of guys I know spend more time on their cars or more time watching football than they do in taking care of your bodies. So I'm hoping tonight or today, wherever you're at, that by watching The Heart of Health Live, you'll have a good investment of your time. You can learn something about your body, maybe get a treatment or do something that will keep you more healthy. And at Heart of Health, we believe that there's a place for modern medicine, especially in helping acute symptoms. There's also a place for lifestyle, learning how to take care of yourself and avoid disease. And with healthcare skyrocketing, this is very important. But also, at the heart of health is that relationship with the Heavenly Father. That relationship will help you to learn the things you need to know to be healthier, to learn the place for modern medicine. So we're glad you've taken time to invest in your health today. Give us a call, 855-644-3278, or you can join us online. Thanks for joining us on The Heart of Health Live. Stay with us. We're going to take a short break, and then I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Scott Grivas.
The Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Dr. Tim Jennings with your Mental Health Minutes. Are you pregnant or thinking of becoming pregnant? Do you want to ensure your child will have the healthiest brain possible? Then avoid all alcohol, because as little as 1 glass of wine per week alters brain development and is associated with behavior and emotion problems. Avoid smoking. Children born to mothers who smoked had higher rates of learning and behavior problems and psychotic disorders. Take omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s promote healthy brains and higher IQ. And watch out for depression. Untreated depression is associated with delayed fetal growth and altered brain development. However, antidepressants can increase miscarriage rates, contribute to smaller fetal heads, and slow growth in the newborn. If depressed, consider transcranial magnetic stimulation, the only FDA-cleared, drug-free treatment for depression with no risk to the fetus. To be smart requires a healthy brain, so be smart, do right, and make your child bright.
To learn more about mental health, visit comeandreason.com.
My life is full of statistics. Thing is, I could have dropped out of school and become one myself, but I didn't, because I had people that believed in me. Here's another statistic. 7,000 students drop out every school day. That's 1 every 26 seconds. It's time that students know that we believe in them.
Inspire a student and share your message of support at boostup.org.
Imagine a classroom with no boundaries. A classroom where reenacting a book is an English class, and repairing a motor is a math lesson. A classroom where caring for horses is biology. This is our classroom. At Bachman Academy, 6th to 12th graders with ADHD, dyslexia, and other language-based learning differences are provided a language-rich, hands-on program of study. With an average of 5 students per teacher, Bachman students receive more attention and have more time to learn while using their own learning strengths. Now, imagine your child in this classroom. To learn more about Bachman Academy, visit our website at www.bachmanacademy.org. Bachman Academy, tapping potential one person at a time.
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm glad you're joining us. We're here with Dr. Scott Grivas. He's a medical doctor who specializes in some natural remedies. If you want to join our program, give us a call at 855-644-3278. Dr. Grivas, welcome to Heart of Health, and tell us, how did you, I know you went to medical school and everything, how did you get interested in natural remedies and end up where you're at today?
Jim, it was a little journey for me because I spent most of my young adult years in medicine just practicing internal medicine. And I'm grateful for that experience, but as a Christian and as I began to read more and study into the Bible, I learned so much about the simplicity of God's ways of healing.
Okay.
And, you know, like for instance with Hezekiah when he was dying and the Lord told the prophet Isaiah to go take a poultice of figs and put on him, and he recovered. And these stories really made an impression on me. And then as I studied more and more, I was impressed that there were simple ways to accomplish the same results without so much of the side effects of the modern medicines. And it wasn't that we never used the medicines, but we are always looking for simpler ways of trying to deal with complex medical problems and then watching and seeing what God does with prayer and with the simple remedies.
So now you practice at a place called Wildwood in northern Georgia. And what kind of patients do you see there?
Just about the full gamut of medical practice. We see heart disease and diabetes and hypertension and degenerative diseases, neurological problems, gastrointestinal. So it's just a whole gamut.
So you pretty much take care of chronic problems?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're having a heart attack, that's not necessarily the place to go.
No, we're
but
not.
after the heart attack, then you would help them a lot to prevent the next one.
Exactly.
Great. Well, you brought some interesting stuff here today, and why don't you sort of go through some of this and tell us what it might be used for?
Okay. I wanted to show just some simple products here that we use a lot of. This is charcoal.
Okay.
Just activated charcoal that we use for a variety of purposes. In gastrointestinal diseases, we can use this as an adsorbent. People who are having nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, you can use it externally as a poultice for bee stings, snake bites, those kinds of things.
So it sort of pulls toxins and poisons
out? Right, it's an adsorbent,
okay,
and it will pull through the skin. It's very nice. We use it also in the emergency rooms for acute overdoses.
Right, I've seen it used a lot for that.
So we use a lot of charcoal. These are just simple herb teas that have been put together that people can take and use for a variety of different medical problems, but I wanted to show the different ways you can use the herbs. You can use them in teas. You can actually use them in elixirs that we have that people can take, especially for pediatrics. It's nice.
Right.
You can use the simple elixirs. You can buy the pre-packaged teas. This one is for cold, flu, and fever, combining different herbs that we know are very helpful for the soothing of the bronchial tree and for infection. Or you can make up your own teas with various packages of herbs that we package together individually. And then it gives us some flexibility of knowing what kind of herbs we want to put together. So we use a lot of the botanical medicines, often in conjunction with some of the other medicines that people come to us on.
Now, you were trained in traditional medicine.
Exactly.
How did you learn this? Is there a textbook, or is it just passed on by generations? You know, the Indians used to use a lot of this. How might someone learn more about this? Because you just don't want to be doing it on your own unless you know what you're doing.
Right, exactly. And I think that was my real concern at first.
Yeah.
If people wanted to use herbs and they wanted to read these books that, well, Grandpa Jones used this, well, that was fine. But as a physician, if I was going to recommend these herbal agents for some condition, let's say pneumonia or gastrointestinal disease, I wanted a little more scientific basis. And I kept looking, and you know, it's just like the Lord is opening the door here with all the scientific investigation into the botanical medicines. It's no longer mystical medicine. It is a proven scientific-based therapy for different diseases. I mean, we can now go on websites that give us not only the phytochemical constituency of these herbs, but how much of each type of phytochemical is present in parts per million. I mean, it's a real science now. You know,
when you think about modern medicine, you know, oftentimes a lot of the medicines we use were originally from plants.
Exactly.
You know, and now if you can take the product without some of the other impurities, you know, and still get that same benefit. Now, the problem that we have is marketing and drug companies and lobbyists and power things, and you have to mention that because there's a truth in that.
Sure.
You know, there's a place for that, but I'm glad that we're going to talk a little bit about there's a place for this type of treatment. You know, I think everyone's a healer. You know, when you change someone's chemistry, whether it makes someone smile or laugh or get them to learn about this, you're healing the body. Now, what do you have up here?
These are fomentation packs.
Okay.
This is for the use in hydrotherapy.
Okay, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, okay?
And these are made for us, and we can sell them to people so that they can go home and they can use, this is a combination of wool and also cotton. It holds heat. They can steam these. These are the blankets, the wool blankets that we have to cover with to hold the heat. And we're trying to teach people really what they can do for themselves in a home setting. So we'll show them at the center, but then we're encouraging them to be able to go home and do these. God's remedies are simple. They're not complicated.
Yeah.
And we're trying to teach people the physiology behind it, so it's not something they don't understand. They know why they're doing it and what hydrotherapy does.
Well, that's great. You know, a lot of people, unfortunately, have the misconception that natural remedies don't use the best of modern medicine.
Sure.
But you know, if someone's having a heart attack or some acute bad problem, you still would recommend an antibiotic or emergency treatment. But in addition, we want to integrate the two worlds. And I think that's great. After break, the questions are starting to come in, and if you'd like to get a hold of Dr. Grivas, 855-644-3278. And I want to tell you a little bit about tonight. My latest book, The Ultimate Prescription, is out and available. And tonight, if you go to our website at heartwiseministries.org, you can download, or you'll be able to get a free download of this book that you can put on your Kindle, or you can also put on the other types of vehicles that Amazon might have. But this is for the next 2 days. You can get a free download, and if you're interested, I want to encourage you to do that. So it's only going to last a few more days, so this is something that you can do tonight. The Ultimate Prescription is not something that is a medicine. It's not even an herb like Dr. Grivas says, so it's a little bit of surprise, and I don't want to spoil what the Ultimate Prescription really is. After break, we're going to go to break, Dr. Grivas, and we're going to come back and we're going to talk to Lorraine. She's calling in, and we're going to talk to her about questions you might have. And if you might have a question, 855-644-3278. If you don't want to talk on the phone, you can give your question to our call center, and they'll write it down and give us to us before breaks. And we're just so glad you're spending time to invest in your health. What a great investment, because as you invest in your health, you're going to see that you're truly wonderfully and remarkably made, and that's going to point you to a relationship with the one that made you. So thanks for joining us. We're going to be back with Lorraine after this break. We also want to encourage us, if you're wanting the social media, Scott, they can go to our Facebook page and follow us along on Facebook. We want to encourage you to be one of our Facebook friends. Lorraine, stay with us. We're going to be right back with Dr. Grivas answering your question in just a moment.
Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
I'm Dr. James Marcum, and I talk to patients every day who want to know the truth in healthcare. On our website, heartwiseministries.org, you can have your questions answered. You can read my blog where I talk about interesting and controversial subjects in medicine. You might choose to go to the radio or television sections and learn more about all sorts of health topics. Take the time and go to heartwiseministries.org.
I'd like to think that one day, when we get to heaven, we're going to see a list of people like Jared and Susan, who were introduced to Jesus because of something we said. Or maybe it was as simple as a passing smile. But these people will look into their past and be able to say, I'm here because of you. Recently, you may have heard that Heartwise Ministries has begun spreading the gospel to the young, the old, the sick, and the healthy using this very television program. But we need your help. We want to take this type of medical programming to the non-believer and the person who has closed themselves off to traditional forms of outreach. If you believe as we do and want to support Heartwise so that together we can count more names on the tree of life, please consider donating today at heartwiseministries.org. That's heartwiseministries.org.
There's a place for modern medicine, but that's not enough. There's a place for lifestyle, but that's not enough. The real truth in medicine, the real truth in healing comes from that relationship with the Heavenly Father. That relationship can show us the balance. When to use modern medicine, when to use lifestyle, and to use it for the right reasons. Well, this book gives the solution to the healthcare dilemma. It answers the question, why am I sick? How do I get better? And how can I have ultimate healing?
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here with Dr. Scott Grivas, who's a medical doctor that specializes in natural remedies. And Dr. Grivas, our first question says, this person has had atrial fibrillation. They've just called in. Is there some natural remedy, and they're really opposed to using modern medicines?
Okay. Yes, Jim, there are a lot of agents that have like antiplatelet effects, like aspirin that we use clinically in medicine. I'll just mention a couple of those. Turmeric or curcuma is a nice agent for that. Ginkgo biloba is a nice antiplatelet agent. Feverfew. There are a number of herbs that are there for anticoagulation, like aspirin. You know, though, as well as I, that with atrial fibrillation, there is a high degree of stroke incidence.
Yes.
And so I really want to caution the patients about this, to discuss this very carefully with their physicians, praying also to the Lord that He would give wisdom here. There's complications even with the regular medications like warfarin, bleeding complications and so forth. So I want to give people information so that they can make a decision, but I want to leave that option open to them and the Lord, how He is going to lead them individually.
Right, and I get that question a lot with atrial fibrillation. Of course, the literature out there, a lot of strokes come when the top part's not breathing, so anticoagulation is very important. In modern medicine, of course, the literature, promotes warfarin or Coumadin. So usually I tell them, warfarin or Coumadin is what I would advise if there's not a reason, and we'd monitor very carefully. However, if you're totally opposed to that, that's your right.
Exactly.
And it's we just, like I said, we give information the best we can. So that was a great question. We have now a question from Minnesota. Sherry, you're on with Dr. Grivas. What's your question for him or comment?
Hello, thank you for taking my call. Well, yesterday I was diagnosed with COPD. Unfortunately, I have been a smoker for 42 years, which comes to a stop today. The good Lord has given me the grace to be walking in the earth still after all them years, and I'm only 56 years old. And I came to know the Lord about 5 years ago. So He's done miraculous things, and I know He's going to help me here.
Amen.
The thing that led me to wondering what was wrong with me is I had a rapid weight loss. I lost like 35 pounds within 3 months, and we tried every CAT scan, endoscopy, colonoscopy, and finally did a CAT scan of the lungs, and that's what they diagnosed, and I'm wondering if that can be contributed to the weight loss. And what I can do to not prevent. I know I can't stop it, but I can stop it. It's not going to go away, but how can I help it naturally to get better?
Okay, thank you.
It's hard. I don't know how to put them into words, I guess. I'm sorry.
Sure, I think you've done a nice job. Yes, there can be weight loss associated with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. The work of breathing is increased. So yes, people can lose weight. And I didn't catch the first part. Did you say you had been a smoker?
I up until today.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, yes.
42 years.
Well, you're making a good decision to stop smoking. And I believe that's the first step, is to remove these contributing factors. And I would also want to encourage you that when you do those things, to take a positive direction in your health, that the Lord will also be working with you, that He is the great healer, the restorer. And so I wouldn't want you to be downcast or discouraged. Even though you have this disease, He can heal any disease. Now, there are some things that I would certainly recommend. You know, we talked a little bit about the fomentations or hydrotherapy. You know, the biblical principle is the life is in the blood. If we can get more blood flow to a damaged organ system, then the Lord can work to heal that system more easily. And so we actually do hot and cold compresses or fomentations to the chest to increase pulmonary flow as one agent. And then there are a number of things. Usually with obstructive disease, there's increased mucus production, there's inflammation in the airways, and we use a number of the botanical agents as expectorants, as anti-inflammatories if a person has a pulmonary infection. Just to give you a few. We use an herb called coleus forskolin. It is a muscle relaxer. It works as a bronchodilator to help people, move air in and out of the lung a little bit better. We can use anti-inflammatory herbs such as mullein. We can use expectorants, horehound, licorice root, which is also anti-inflammatory. We encourage breathing exercises, deep breathing, to the extent that the person can, outdoor walking exercise, taking deep breaths to get that lung ventilated again. And then we have to work with specific problems, like if people come down with like special infections, then we have to use certain agents for that. But just to try to give the Lord a way to begin healing, you've made the first step. You've stopped the smoking.
Great.
Okay? And as you're asking the Lord not only for forgiveness of what we've done in terms of injuring our body, but asking now for His grace to heal, you know He's going to hear that prayer, and He's going to be working with you. And so I think you're in a good position now to start with some of these natural remedies and expect that with prayer you will see supernatural results as God is working with the simple things.
Okay.
Thank you so much,
Sherry,
Doctor.
Sherry, thank you for calling us.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we have a question from a website that's come in, and it says, someone recommended that I considered hydrotherapy, and you touched on this a little bit. How does treatment work? So let's just talk about that for a minute or so.
Usually with illness, there's inflammation, whatever the cause, and often free radical damage and so forth. And what we are trying to do is to bring the nutrient blood that is loaded with oxygen and hopefully good things from nutrients if,
right.
if we've
Good,
got the
eating
right
good
diet.
right.
Okay, and if we're using the botanical agents, those things that we're putting in the blood that can go there, we're mobilizing the white blood cell, the immune system, and all of that's going into that area that's damaged with the blood.
Yeah.
Now, the way we work with hydrotherapy is by applying water at different temperatures. Heat passively dilates the vessels. Cold actually causes a pumping action on those vessels. So we do, like if a person has bronchitis, we'll put a hot fomentation pad on for, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes. And when you take it off, that chest is nice and pink because blood is being drawn there. And then we'll put the cold on for a minute or so, and then it really gets red because those vessels are really pumping. And it decongests the area of stagnated blood, and it brings that blood, new blood in, and it moves it through that.
Yeah.
And so we're working with nature to try to help the process of healing and recovery.
And I think everyone can identify when they get in a nice shower or a hot tub, how well that relaxes them and it changes the blood flow. That makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
You know, you want the blood to get everywhere because you can't heal without the life-healing blood. So that's great. We're on with Dr. Grivas on Heart of Health Live. If you want to give us a call, 855-644-3278. Right after this break, we're going to be talking to Grace from Lexington, so stay with us, Grace. We want to encourage you. The Ultimate Prescription is available by going to our website. You can download it right now. You can become one of our Facebook friends. So we're glad you spend time to invest in your health this evening. Stay with us. We're going to be right back with you, Grace, after this short break.
Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
I'm Dr. James Marcum with your medical moment. I don't know about you, but I get thirsty if I talk a lot. Well, one of the greatest needs of our body is water. Did you realize that up to 70% of our body is water? All the chemical reactions from the brain to the heart beating to the muscles moving all depend on water. It's one of the most important substances we put in our body. If we get dehydrated, many bad things happen. We can have inflammation, we can have the blood thickened, we can have blood pressure changes, we can even have our heart race. You don't want to be walking around in the desert. Hydrate yourself. How much do you need? Divide your weight in 2, that's about how many ounces. Or drink enough water till your urine comes out clean. Remember, water is one of the most important ingredients we put in ourselves every day.
To learn more about your health and discover what Dr. Marcum is doing in your area, visit heartwiseministries.org.
Have you ever heard things about God that didn't make sense? Have you ever thought that science and Scripture cannot be reconciled? Have you heard ideas about God that scare you? Or are you just tired and confused? If you want answers to complex problems, if you want a testable, evidence-based understanding of God and the world around you, an understanding in which the Bible and science harmonize to reveal the reality that God is love all the time, then Come and Reason Ministries is for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Tim Jennings, board-certified psychiatrist, and Come and Reason Ministries is dedicated to helping you learn to discern, to stimulate you to think, to help hone and refine your ability to know the right from the wrong, the healthy from the unhealthy, and teach you how to experience healing of your mind, body, and relationships here and now. If you would like an evidence-based approach to knowing God, then visit us online at comeandreason.com.
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
We're glad you're joining us. We're here with Dr. Scott Grivas, and if you want to get a hold of where he works, Dr. Grivas works at Wildwood Lifestyle Center and Hospital. You can go online, type that in and Google it or Yahoo it or whatever you do, and that'll give you the place where you can get a hold and you can learn more about what Dr. Grivas does and what they do at Wildwood. Grace, we have a question from Lexington, Kentucky coming up. Grace, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Grace, I did my cardiology training at the University of Kentucky, and I'm a big Wildcat fan, so I'm glad you called us tonight.
So wonderful. I love Lexington.
Yeah, what's your question for Dr. Grivas?
My question is, what is the cause of congestive heart failure?
Okay.
And is it hereditary?
Yeah.
My mother died a year ago when she was 100 years old, and that was her diagnosis when she died.
Okay, so we're going to talk about the causes of congestive heart failure. Grace, and I'll tell you, without really having more information, we can sort of give you a lot of different things. So I'll let Dr. Grivas start here.
I was going to say, I probably should defer to you, a cardiologist.
But there are lots of different things.
Yeah, sure. Probably one of the most common causes that we see is what we call atherosclerotic coronary disease. It's probably the most common. People have ischemic heart disease. They're not getting enough blood through the heart arteries, and they may have damaged the heart muscle as a result of that. Probably hypertension is another very common cause for heart failure. Valvular heart disease is another cause that is up there. And then we get into more less common causes. Infections of the heart can cause this. We can get a viral infection of the heart muscle. We call it a viral myocarditis. We can get autoimmune disorders that affect the heart muscle because of inflammation. And as we were talking earlier, Jim, you can get it as a result of certain malignancies that can infiltrate into the heart muscle. Hereditary-wise, I wouldn't say that there's not any evidence for hereditary conditions, but you know, if we're living a good lifestyle as God has shown us in the scriptures, I think that's much less likely. In other words, we may have a vulnerability, but lifestyle really may help to suppress that so we don't get those same diseases that our parents got or our brothers and sisters.
And Grace, if you'll see your doctor, they can let you know if they think you might have it. They can do some tests on you or ask if you're having symptoms like swelling or shortness of breath or having the heart race. They can tell you if they think you're getting into problems, but there's a lot of different things can cause it. So we're glad you called us today.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay. Well, we have another question from Jeannie. And Jeannie, you had a question about weight loss for Dr. Grivas. Are you hearing us?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, Jeannie, go ahead with your question.
Yes, I've been morbidly obese most of my life, and the doctors are trying to convince me to have weight loss surgery, and it's something that I'm not comfortable with doing, and I would like to know if there's something else that I can do other than that, because I've been fighting the battle of being overweight my whole life, and it's very difficult.
Sure.
I have thyroid issues, you know, and it's hard.
Yeah.
I have a lot of pain. I live with a lot of pain in my back and my joints.
Okay.
So it's not easy to move a lot. So
And
they think that that's the only solution, and I think there's other ways of doing this, and I want to learn.
Well, Jeannie, we're going to talk about that. And also, there's another question that we came in that had weight loss in a person that works night shift. So this is a good topic. A lot of people are interested in it.
Sure. I can tell you that I battled with that for many, many years. I was overweight probably until I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I mean considerably so. And it wasn't until the Lord showed me His plan that I was able to take the weight off. And I didn't have to have surgery, but I had to have God's help. And I'm going to outline a plan quickly, very simply, that can be followed. And then we need the Lord to empower those choices, okay? Otherwise, I can tell you a good plan, but you won't do it, okay? You can't do it. But with the Lord, He makes everything possible. Simple plan. We would advise a plant-based diet, okay, getting away from all of the high-calorie animal fats that are really incriminated in a lot of diseases also, so we try to remove that. It's a less high-fat diet, and it has a lot of fiber that will give you a feeling of satiety. So you don't eat so much, less calories, and you're full. You're not hungry all day long. 2 meals a day are better than 3 if you're overweight, and those should be a good breakfast and a moderate lunch. Trying not to put in a lot of calories in the later part of the day, in the evening, because you cannot burn those then. No snacking, okay? Nothing in between meals, but plenty of water, which also will help fill you up. And then walking. Getting on an exercise program, you must check with your physician, make sure that everything is okay physically, but walking probably 20 to 30 minutes several times a day. Try to break it up, getting outside in the beautiful, sunlight, fresh air, and enjoying nature. And then asking for a special gift from God, and that is temperance, self-control. We don't have that naturally, but it's something that God will give you to give you victory over this temptation to overindulge the body with food. And people eat for a variety of reasons. But just knowing the plan will work. It's just a calorie in and calorie expenditure. If you're burning more calories than you're taking in, you're going to lose weight. That's easy to say, but it is impossible to do without God. Now, God will not make the choice for you. You're going to have to choose this way to live, but then you're going to ask the Lord to empower that choice with His own Spirit. And He will do that for you. He loves you. You're His child. And so as you're working with Him and with simple nutrition, exercise, the plan will work. It's not going to be impossible. And there are many complications with all this weight loss surgery. And it may not occur immediately, maybe some years later, but I would advise you to really give that some prayerful thought before you just go into surgery. It's not a quick, answer.
And Dr. Grivas, none of the weight loss medicines out there have really shown long-term benefits, and many of them are off the market right now because it caused heart problems and rhythms. So I think that's great advice. Jeannie, thanks for calling us, and we'll put you on our prayer list, okay?
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, thanks. Listen, we have a quick question that's come in, and this is a question that said, what herbs might help remove some fluid from the body? So let's talk, we got about 30 seconds to talk about that.
Diuretic herbs. Dandelion leaf is a good one. It's high in potassium also. Corn silk, the little tassels from the corn. Uva ursi, another herb. Buku, parsley. Just a number of agents that are there.
And what I tell people too is try not to eat a lot of processed foods, which can contribute to it.
Exactly.
So it's a double-edged sword. Well, listen, after break we have Janet on, who's calling from Berea, Ohio, and we have lots of questions coming in. We're going to try to get to as many of them as we can. And if you want to get a hold of Dr. Grivas, you can get him through the lifestyle centers and hospitals in Wildwood, Georgia. They have a website, and I'm sure you can find a way to get in contact with them. If you want to learn more about this process, they have a website that can teach you all sorts of new things. You can give us a call at our website at 855-644-3278. Dr. Grivas is with us. He's given us his time. He's not going to send you a bill. So we'll be right back with Janet after this short break.
The Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Tim Jennings with your Mental Health Minutes. Are you pregnant or thinking of becoming pregnant? Do you want to ensure your child will have the healthiest brain possible? Then avoid all alcohol, because as little as 1 glass of wine per week alters brain development and is associated with behavior and emotion problems. Avoid smoking. Children born to mothers who smoked had higher rates of learning and behavior problems and psychotic disorders. Take omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s promote healthy brains and higher IQ. And watch out for depression. Untreated depression is associated with delayed fetal growth and altered brain development. However, antidepressants can increase miscarriage rates, contribute to smaller fetal heads, and slow growth in the newborn. If depressed, consider transcranial magnetic stimulation, the only FDA-cleared, drug-free treatment for depression with no risk to the fetus. To be smart requires a healthy brain, so be smart, do right, and make your child bright.
To learn more about mental health, visit comeandreason.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. James Marcum, speaker, director of Heartwise Ministries. And at Heartwise, our goal is to bring people into a relationship with the Heavenly Father using modern medicine and the healing principles found in the Bible. We teach people that there is a place for modern medicine and a healthy lifestyle, but it is in a relationship with their Creator where ultimate healing can occur. Over the past years, our ability to share this message of truth, love, and healing around the world has increased exponentially. But to continue this steady growth, we need your help. We are looking and praying for 100 individuals willing to give $1,000 a year. If the Spirit is moving you to become one of the Heartwise 100, won't you consider donating online today at heartwiseministries.org.
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a good glass of water, had a little hydrotherapy for the inside during your break. We're here with Dr. Scott Grivas. We have a lot of questions. And tell you what we're going to do. We're going to answer Janet's question, and then we're going to go to all these questions that come in, and we're going to just answer as many as we can, as quick as we can. Janet, you're on with Dr. Grivas. What's your question or comment?
My question.
Go ahead, Janet.
My question is that I had a pulmonary embolism.
Okay.
And I've had one. This is the second one. I've also had blood clots in my thrombosis in my leg, and I'm on Coumadin now, and they said that I would have to be on Coumadin for the rest of my life. So I'm asking if there's something else that I can do, some alternative medicine that I can use to get off of Coumadin.
Okay. This is very similar to the question about the atrial fibrillation.
Same type of question.
There are some predisposing factors that can result in either recurrent thrombophlebitis with pulmonary emboli. Some people actually have an inherited problem in their coagulation, so that it's much more easy for them to clot. Now, we mentioned some of the natural anticoagulants. I didn't mention garlic, but garlic is an excellent one. We mentioned turmeric or curcuma, ginkgo, talked about feverfew, white willow bark. These are all agents that are like aspirin. They work by inhibiting the platelet stickiness in the blood, so it's not as likely to clot. And yet when a person has had life-threatening situations like pulmonary emboli, I'm not so quick just to say, oh yeah, just stop your Coumadin and take the herbal agents, because really we don't have studies that compare just the herbal agents as, let's say, with Coumadin and how effective that is in long-term prevention. So it's something that I would want to really ask you to prayerfully consider. Talk to your physician, find out why he thinks that you have all these recurrent clotting problems, because unless that's cleared up, the likelihood is that you may develop another. So I would want to do this very prayerfully and carefully, making sure that we don't put you at increased risk for another pulmonary embolus by just stopping the warfarin and then starting some of these other agents that we might use.
Okay. Well, Shirlene, thank you for calling us. Thank you for calling us today. Okay, we have Janet. Now we have another call from a Shirlene. I messed up. That's a Janet. Now we're talking to Shirlene. Shirlene, you're on with Dr. Grivas.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Shirlene.
Yes, I'm concerned about hiatal hernia that I've been having for some time. And I think I may have to have surgery on it. I had a very bad attack here not too long ago. And I was just wondering, what do you advise concerning a situation like that?
Hiatal hernia.
Hiatal hernia.
Right.
Well, certainly surgery is one way to treat a hiatal hernia. Are you having a lot of problems with gastroesophageal reflux, heartburn, all of that?
Some.
Some.
My main problem is if I have an attack, it's very, very severe. The pain is very severe underneath the breastbone there.
Okay, so you may also be having some inflammation with maybe tertiary contractions of the esophagus. I would at least start with something very simple, and that would be like aloe vera gel. Aloe vera gel is a very soothing, healing agent to inflame.
Do you take that orally?
You take it orally.
Yeah.
I usually prescribe it in a dose of maybe 2 tablespoons, 1 hour, and then 3 hours after meals, and then before bed. It serves as a buffer if there's any acid that's refluxing through that loose hiatus. Also, there are some teas that can be taken that are very nice and soothing to the gastrointestinal tract. Chamomile, calendula, marshmallow, plantain. These are simple herbs that can be combined into a tea, and you drink the tea between meals, making sure that if you are refluxing also that you don't eat but maybe several hours before you go to bed. You want to go to bed with an empty stomach. Sometimes you can elevate the head of the bed so you're not refluxing through the night. And if it's just the irritation from the esophagus, these things should heal with simple things. Now, if there's some other problem that you would require surgery for, certainly that's an option you can discuss with your physician.
You know, and also, you know, you want to avoid things like caffeine and alcohol, and I think drinking water helps. And keeping your stomach has to digest protein, so keeping you know a plant-based diet is healthier than eating all these things that are hard to digest, and you make a lot of acid.
Right.
So these are all things that might help.
Okay. All right then.
Well, thank you for your call.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Okay, now I don't know if I can pronounce this next name, Dr. Grivas, but it's from Missouri, Sulamega. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, hi.
How do you say your name?
Sulamita.
Okay, well, what's your question for Dr. Grivas?
I was wondering what you can do for like hyperactivity, like to be more relaxed. I have 2 brothers who like are very hyper, and we were wanting to know.
So you don't want this for yourself. This is your brothers, right? Well, there's no calming agent that I know is good as the influence of the Spirit of God.
Yep.
Okay? You remember the Lord promises a peace that passes understanding, calmness. And so as people spend more time in a devotional experience with God, reading the Scriptures and praying, believe me, their whole attitude is going to change. So we want to first encourage that. Also trying to make sure that we're not taking things in that could be exciting the central nervous system. And those things would be like what Dr. Marcum and I have talked about, caffeine, for instance. If there's any problem with excess sugar in the diet, this can make people very, very unsettled. Even taking hot foods stimulate the brain because they irritate the stomach, and reflexly then they cause stimulation of the brain. So we want to try to avoid those things that could be producing this. Also, if the person is watching a lot of TV, doing a lot of video games, getting their mind engrossed in this with all these fast-changing scenes, it stirs people up.
Yeah.
So we try to avoid and get a calm setting, and then we use the calming herbal agents, such as there's valerian root, there is chamomile, there is lemon balm, there is linden or tilia, passion flower, skullcap, hops. All of these things we can take either singly or in a combination tea and let the person just drink some tea through the day. So we try to very easily address those things, but a lot is in the lifestyle.
Yeah.
How to change that lifestyle.
Yeah. So Carmen, I think that's some great, Carmelita, some great advice. And I want to throw in there, deep breathing.
Yes.
You want to do the part of the brain that sort of causes this, the emotional part, the limbic system. You want to turn that down by all these things you say. And one of the things that have been shown scientifically to help with that is the process of worship. It makes the stress part of the brain go down, so you're less likely to be hyper. So I want to also throw to the treatment regimen the process of worship. So thanks for your call. It's time for us to take a short break. We're going to be right back. We're going to answer a lot of questions real fast after this break, so stay with us on Heart of Health Live.
The Heart of Health Live will return in just a moment.
I'm Dr. James Marcum, and I talk to patients every day who want to know the truth in healthcare. On our website, heartwiseministries.org, you can have your questions answered. You can read my blog where I talk about interesting and controversial subjects in medicine. You might choose to go to the radio or television sections and learn more about all sorts of health topics. Take the time and go to heartwiseministries.org. There's a place for modern medicine, but that's not enough. There's a place for lifestyle, but that's not enough. The real truth in medicine, the real truth in healing comes from that relationship with the Heavenly Father. That relationship can show us the balance, when to use modern medicine, when to use lifestyle, and to use it for the right reasons. Well, this book gives the solution to the healthcare dilemma. It answers the question, why am I sick? How do I get better? And how can I have ultimate healing?
I'd like to think that one day, when we get to heaven, we're going to see a list of people like Jared and Susan, who were introduced to Jesus because of something we said. Or maybe it was as simple as a passing smile. But these people will look into their past and be able to say, I'm here because of you. Recently, you may have heard that Heartwise Ministries has begun spreading the gospel to the young, the old, the sick, and the healthy using this very television program. But we need your help. We want to take this type of medical programming to the non-believer and the person who has closed themselves off to traditional forms of outreach. If you believe as we do and want to support Heartwise so that together we can count more names on the Tree of Life, please consider donating today at heartwiseministries.org. That's heartwiseministries.org.
You've got questions, we've got answers on the Heart of Health Live. Welcome back.
Well, we're in our last segment with Dr. Grivas, and a lot of calls have come in, great questions, and if you want to get your questions answered next time, you might want to call in a little bit earlier. You can certainly go to our website and send your questions in as well. So we're going to go through a few more questions in the remaining time. This one comes from Hawaii. My nephew, mid-20s, congenital heart disease, has 3 chambers, lots of palpitations. What can they do to help palpitations?
We use a number of different herbs there. We'll use actually hawthorn berry as a good herb. It vasodilates up the coronary arteries. It helps with oxygenation of the heart muscle. I also use an herb called motherwort. It's Leonura. It strengthens heart muscle contraction. It also helps lower the blood pressure, and it is an antiarrhythmic. A lot of times we may use the flaxseed as an omega-3 fatty acid that helps with irritability of the heart muscle. I also use an herb that's called Dong Quai or Angelica sinensis, which has a slight quinidine-like action on the heart, and it quietens the heart muscles. So those are some.
That's a good question. This question, it comes to us from New York. Any remedies for pinworms? Now, I've not heard that one before, pinworms. Anything for that?
The agents that we often use in worms are things like black walnut.
And she tried that, it says.
Okay.
You know, and she tried garlic too.
Wormwood, garlic is good. The Artemisia is a good agent to try there.
Those are some good ones there. Anything that you can know, this doesn't give a specific, but they're having some ear problems. Anything that might help the ears?
Well, if it's just chronic external infection of the ear, which is usually by bacteria or fungal, we can use garlic solutions, or we use garlic oil with olive oil, and we'll put that as drops in the ear, and it's soothing. It's also antifungal, antibacterial. If it's a middle ear infection, we will use hot and cold fomentations over the ear to improve blood supply, and we'll use certain herbal antibiotics like golden seal, echinacea, grapefruit seed extract, some of those.
Okay. And then this person has lost a lot of pounds. Now she has flab underarms. She's considering surgical removal. She's 68 and diabetic. What would you say about that? I think I would live with it. I've done surgery. I think I would live with that.
Especially if she's diabetic.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to take a lot of extra risk if you didn't have to. Well, another quick one. Gallbladder doesn't work good. Is there anything that can counteract lack of a gallbladder function? That's from New York again.
Does she have stones? Does it say?
This says a lot of gallbladder problems. So I must assume that they must have some stones.
Okay. We use a lot of milk thistle in that condition. Sometimes even turmeric. It's been shown in the animal studies that turmeric and milk thistle can both help to dissolve stones. And we'll do that if people are not having recurrent episodes of bad pain. Now, if that's the case, then we may want to get that gallbladder out.
Okay. Well, we want to thank everyone for your calls and questions. And if you didn't have your questions answered, don't worry. We wanted to leave you with this. Learn about your body, take the time, realize a relationship with the Heavenly Father is the key to ultimate healing. You can join us every week at this time. Try to call in earlier or go to our website. We're glad with Dr. Grivas for being with us. Look us up on Facebook, become our friend. We're at heartwiseministries.org. And if you want to get my book, you can download that. It's free for the next 2 days. So thank you for joining us on Heart of Health Live, and we'll be back next time wishing you the best of health and God's blessings in your life.